Well, hello and welcome to Yellow Flag FPL, the podcast where all of our opinions should be yellow flagged. My name is Harry.
And I'm Stephen Murray.
And episode 3 this week, we've given you our opinions on the Big Six, on the newly promoted teams, and now we've lovingly referring to as the rest. We know obviously some of these teams are in Europe and they've punched above their weight. Aston Villa being in Champions League, all the rest of it. This is no disrespect to those teams. It's just more a lot of their players are not going to have the sort of the most expensive players, but they're also going to have lots of bargains. So it's worth us looking at it in a sort of slightly different light. We might even split this up into 2 episodes, just because there's a lot to say. Stephen, do you want to say anything about these teams? And if I've missed anything in terms of summarization, or am I being overly harsh by saying
No. Just some of these teams I will be openly disrespecting. I think if you can't disrespect football teams, what's the point of football, really? Some of these teams will be getting a lot of disrespect from me, but not all of them. But yes, as I mentioned the other week, just because you are financially in the Big Six does not make you top 6, which we are very well aware of.
Yes, exactly right. See my club for more details. Okay, cool. Well, speaking of Aston Villa, let's talk about them first.
Sounds good.
And what we kind of set this up as is we were going to ask the question, what sort of position do we think they're going to end up in this season? Is it going to be a relegation battle, solid mid-table, or pushing top 8? And I think with no surprise, I think both of us probably would agree that they should be pushing for the top 8. Is that kind of where you think they'll and where they think they'll finish? Where do you think they will finish in that position?
I would normally say that, apart from 2 words, which I think will derail that. Alejandro Garnacho. What? Why? Villa, why? You took Alejandro Garnacho to help Chelsea with FFP? Or PSR, whatever it's called now? Why? Honestly, why? Is he the most hated player from his own fans? I think Chelsea and Man U will argue over who hates him more, and I'm sure Villa fans will be joining this cacophony soon. I don't get that. But yes, him aside, yeah, they should be top 8. They've obviously, this is your team. They've lost Rodgers and Tielemans, who are 2 big players for them. But yes, they should be top 8, but I think with Europe this season, having sold more key players than they've brought in, it'd be interesting to see how Emery manages that.
Yeah, and I think, Villa have got a habit of taking Man United players and giving them a bit of confidence, so maybe there's an element in there, but in pre-season he's not that great. I
Did Sancho work? Did Rashford work?
Sancho looks okay. Rashford won a couple of awards, like that assist they scored against PSG. So I think pushing top 8 is pretty controversial. But yeah, for each of these teams, we're going to talk about one player we recommend, one to avoid, and one to put on the watch list. And I wouldn't really own any Villa players at the start of the season, but if I had to, I've gone for McGinn. And there's actually a theme as I was going through all of these teams. There is a lot of value at 5.5. There are a lot of very good players at 5.5 million that look really interesting. Currently, I'm sitting on Xhaka. And you can make the argument that there are a lot of players sitting in a price bracket that are going to be really affordable. 6 million forwards, 6.5 million midfielders, 5 million defenders. There's a lot of value out there. And so one of these or 2 of these are really going to pop off. And McGinn had a decent season last season, 5 goals, 4 assists. He's 5.5 million, as I said, 2.7% owned. He'll just tick over. And he does feel like a bit of a knee-jerky type player. You know, I could easily see him scoring 13 points against Brighton in the opening day. And he loves playing against the bigger teams. And he's got Arsenal game week 2. So you know what will happen. He does well against Brighton. Loads of people will buy him. The bandwagon will go to him. And then he'll score again against Arsenal. And then he'll blank for 10 game weeks. I can see that being a good possibility. So I like McGinn. I think he's a good player. He also plays on the wing, weirdly, sometimes. Yeah. So he does get def cons occasionally as well. But you're looking at a return in 3, and for 5.5 million, it's not too bad. What do you think, Stephen?
Yeah. I mean, at 5.5, he is decent. I don't actually remember the last time I saw him in central midfield, actually. I think he's now a winger under Emery. Yeah. So 5.5 million for a winger is interesting. He got 103 points. he's just not a winger though, is he? I
it's
think.
okay. No.
Yeah, I think I'd rather go for somebody who's like an out and out like midfield specialist. I'd rather go for somebody who's cheap. Sorry, I'd rather go for somebody who's at one of the like lesser teams. Like I don't know, Coventry's 5.5 midfielder, for example. Caicedo's 5.5 million. He starts every week. Deathcon Machine,
Yeah, I
Granit
was quite surprised
Xhaka.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're not
Ampadu,
DMs.
Leeds, loads
Ampadu,
of players,
Leeds.
5.5.
Yeah, Tonali at Spurs, interesting. So, yeah, not for me. I do like McGinn as well. Sorry, we keep calling him McGinn.
Cool.
John McGinn. He's a player that must always
John
be
McGinn.
referred to with both names, of course. Unless you're Fabrizio Romano, who called him Kevin McGinn or something. I can't remember what he called it, but anyway,
wasn't that the thing with Trafford, James Trafford, and he kept calling him John Trafford? Cool.
Anyway, not for me. But anyway, yeah. Who are your other two picks at Villa?
My player to avoid is actually Konsa. So Konsa is 16.4% owned, 4.5 million. I love a 4.5 million defender as much as the next person. It seems like a no-brainer, right? But he's just come back from the World Cup. He's going to be tired. They don't look as defensively sound in preseason as I'd like. I just don't think he's going to start the first game of the season. And if he does, he's going to be knackered, and you can just see an injury coming down. And there's also, there are rumours about him going to Arsenal as well. Sure. So if those rumours set in, do they play him for those reasons? So there's just a lot of unknowns for Konsa, and I can quite easily get to him if he does suddenly decide to go off. And also, if he does go to Arsenal, I don't think he's a good pick either, because then he's cover for one of their other centre-backs who's going to start. So he's not going to start. So I just think, unless I know that he's not going to Arsenal, unless he bakes in his position in the team, I think he's just a hard avoid, right? I don't know why. Is the 16.4% just World Cup fandom, or what is that caused by?
I think it's a little bit of Arsenal transfer hope in there. I think people are thinking if Arsenal sign him, because they wanted a lot of money from him.
Is he?
I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, the Rolls Royce is out. The Rolls Royce is out until January. It would be him versus Mascara. He has a decent chance of beating him. I don't think he will go.
The first couple of game weeks. Yeah, first couple of game weeks, Mascara would start over him, and then you get eased in, and maybe he plays a couple of cup games or something like that. And I just don't see it. And like I said, he got the English tax. They'll ask for a silly amount of money, and you're not paying 80 million for Ezri Konsa. As much as I like him as a player, he's not worth 80 million.
They also have Pau Torres as the backup. He's a very good centre back and can cover at the start as well. It's not like they're desperate there.
Exactly. And then the one for the watch list, Johan Manzabai. Was that Manzini?
Yeah, I like him.
I butchered another name.
Looks really go. I think it's Manzambi.
For the listeners, it's the celebration of the claw. I don't know what that. I think it's Dragon Ball Z thing. So he's Swiss, isn't he? He scored a couple of goals in the World Cup.
Yeah, he's Swiss.
He got called lazy, I think, by Xhaka quite openly in one of the other games. And then he said he's a kid, he needs to buck up his ideas, sort of thing. And then the next couple of games, he scored back to back. So clearly, he takes criticism well, which is a great thing for a player of any age. But he's 20 years old. 6 million, 2% owned. He might be eased in. I think it's fair to say, given the fact he is so young, and he could be a super sub for the first couple. But if he starts nailing down that starting spot at 6 million midfield, that is a very nice position to be. Plus, he's playing as a number 10, so he could be a massively OOP, right? So I think he's definitely one to put in the watch list.
Okay, perfect. He was my watch list too. I really, really like him. Again, wait to see with him. Wait to see if he starts and everything like that. And you're right, he probably will be bled in, but he was on my my watch list as well. I can see him in my team in the not too distant future.
Awesome. Well, let's hope it works better than your Maatsen shout last year.
Who's actually would be my banker because fucking Luca Ding has finally gone. Maatsen will finally get his place.
Finally gone. Cool. Okay, for one PSR stricken club to another. Stephen, would you like to talk about the Geordies, Newcastle? How are you expecting them to get on? This season?
Well, you can hear I'm laughing, and it's easy to laugh at Newcastle. And do you know what, Barry? I'm actually going to defend them a little bit. I don't think, having looked into it, I don't think it's going to be as bad as people say for Newcastle. So I guess it all depends on what you think. For Newcastle, they are going to be 9th or 10th. Now, some people might say that's a disaster. I think after losing Bruno, Tonali, Gordon, your manager in Eddie Howe is doing a lot of work. I think 9th, 10th is pretty good for them, basically. I really wanted to laugh at their manager, the guy from, the jokes write themselves. He's from the Saudi League. If you go on his Wikipedia page, it's him as a pundit, I think, and not as a manager. Either way, that's what it looks like, which is not a good start. But he won the Asian Champions League back to back. He had a pretty good record. I think it was in the Austrian League as well. So he's actually, the Asian Champions League shouldn't be completely written off. I looked at the team he had at Saudi. He had even Tony, Mendy in goal, but it wasn't like they'd spent hundreds of millions and had this completely elite team. Like, it was a decent team. So I actually think he's better than people think. Everything about him, he's very much of the Austrian, gegenpress sort of style. So that's going to suit. Newcastle are very used to that already under Eddie Howe. So I think he'll actually slot in quite nicely. Toure, who they signed from Hoffenheim, he looks pretty good. He's got an average goal or assist every 2 games in the German league. The goalkeeper, my Portuguese contacts, I'm awaiting for more from them, but Hornkek, I'm not trying to pronounce his name, he looks quite good. So I've heard. So and believe me, I really, really want to go in at Newcastle. I want to say they're getting relegated. I've even bet on Newcastle to get relegated with my Sunderland mates. I'm a Sunderland man. But if you actually look at it, then they're going to be okay, basically. They're still a team that has finished high up. I think they have a manager who's better than people think. Okay, Bruno was very important for them. Tonight didn't play that much last season. Gordon was a bit inconsistent, and they still got by. As much as I want to go in very, very hard on Newcastle, I actually think they're going to be comfortable top half in the end. And I don't like saying it, Barry. I really don't. Yeah,
that's a bold statement.
Barry, I don't want to say it. Please prove me wrong. Please criticize everything I've just said.
Well, I mean, I think if we look at their team that's left. Firstly, again, it's one of those teams where they only have 1 page of FPL players, so 26 players currently you can pick from, which is not ideal. There's talk of Lewis Hall sorting off to Man United. Livramento is injury stricken, so they need to spend some money. I think what would sway me to your argument is if they made a bit of a marquee signing in the creative positions in midfield, and maybe another centre back or wing back, because they've sold too many of their wing backs. Or the wing backs have gone away, and I just think that their squad is so paper thin. Really and then there's also question marks who's going to start up top. Walter Marde was inconsistent. Wissa was injured but played a good World Cup. Asula was unbelievable at the end of the season, and no doubt he's going to be knocking on the manager's doors to start. So I think from an FPL perspective, I wouldn't be confident on any of their players. And they still need to make some really key signings for me to believe that team can put something together. I mean, maybe it's overplayed how bad they're going to be, and I'd agree with you there. But I don't see them. I think they might just survive this year. Just. Wow.
Okay. Wow. So I'm very much 16th. They're in big trouble camp. Okay.
Yeah, well, unless they make a start. I mean, mate, their best players have all gone. Yeah. Arguably, their best player in the team right now is Thor, maybe.
So maybe, I was going to say, if you look at their back four, you are right about fullback, because they have Hall and Livramento, and then I guess Dan Burns, the other one. But they literally have no other fullbacks. I mean, there's a guy called A. Murphy. I don't know who he is, but I'm assuming he's a fullback. But that's just to say they have basically 3 fullbacks. Then they have Tior. Then they have Sven Botman, who's coming back. They have a decent goalkeeper. You go into midfield, they have your best mate, Harvey Barnes. I think Alanga had a bad start, but will get better. This Toure lad looks quite good. They've signed some other midfielders. And my pick, actually, from Newcastle is actually Wissa. You got to remember they signed him with 1 leg, and he didn't start a lot. So he's priced at 6 million. That's very, very cheap. Yeah. He's not very highly owned. 1.6 million. This is a proven Premier League striker. I think he will start. I think he was I'm pretty confident he was just meant to be the starting striker. But because he was injured, obviously there wasn't much they could do there. There's a reason why Eddie Howe put Walter Marde into midfield. They have Liverpool at home, first game, sorry. as I've said about Liverpool, they're going to be all over the shop at the back, and I think Barnes and Wissa, they could do something there.
Yeah.
They have Tottenham away, that's not ideal, but then Bournemouth at home, Leeds away, Hull and Coventry. That's a pretty tempting top six. First six fixtures, I should say, sorry.
Yeah.
And I think Wissa actually will be coming into my team as a result of that.
So you'd recommend Wissa. Who would you avoid?
I'm recommending Wissa. My avoid is actually the goalkeeper, only because he's 5 million. I think I'm just saying every 5 million goalkeeper avoid. FPL has just gone completely insane.
5 million for a goalkeeper seems a bit shit as well. It's like sitting on the fence.
Who's never played
I'd rather
in the Premier League.
2.4.5s. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
avoid. Actually, no, sorry. He's actually on my watch list because I think he could be quite good. I've remembered who my avoid is, and that's Jacob Murphy. The reason being is that it's Jacob Murphy. I like the guy, but it's Jacob Murphy, so that would be my avoid. But Wissa, I think that's a proper differential. 1.6. Yeah. He will start. He will.
There's a lot of value in that.
In friendlies, just to be clear, there has been a little bit of rotation. It's not 100%, but if he starts and he's in those first six, his value will rise, and it will rise very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of value in that 6 million bracket. You got Robbie, DCL, Wissa, Asuda, I think it was 6 million strikers. Danny Welbeck, if you really want to go there.
He is.
Solanke. So there's a lot of value in that 6 million bracket for strikers. I'm currently sitting on DCL, but I could be tempted with a sideways move to Wissa later on. So yes. Okay, cool. Well, let's move on to another team that Eddie Howe's managed before. Bournemouth. We're doing amazing with these transitions.
Very good.
Unbelievable. So, Bournemouth, look, they lost their manager. They've lost a few players. Krupi's out for 3 months. So it's not been the best start, to say the least. But I've put them as pushing top 8 because they are just a really well-run club. Their manager seems to know what he's doing. They've got the starting winger for Brazil up there, although Evan Nilsson is also a bit crap, but he's around it. Tavernier, they've kept the spine of the team. Alex Scott, they were talking about him leaving. He seems to quieten down those rumours. Their defensive work looks pretty okay. I mean, they've got James Hill looks pretty decent. The backup they signed for Senesi seems alright. Truffaut's obviously had a great season. I think overall, I think they're just a really well-structured team, and I think they will make a couple more signings, but I think they're just turning a bit into a Brighton team, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like, they're just looking for these bargains, signing them, bringing them into the Premier League. I mean, they spent 24 million on a player that Man United want, and were getting quoted 60 million from the Portuguese league. I can't remember, it's Vargas? I can't remember his name.
Antonio Silva.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Man United were all over him. They were asking 60 million. They got him for 24. Brilliant. What a piece of business that is. So they're just a really well-run club. So, pushing top 8 for me. What do you think?
No, I think they're going to be bottom half, but like 11th or 12th, purely because they're in Europe and their squad is too thin. Yeah. That's something we really need to take into account. So Newcastle's squad is thin, but you got to remember they did pretty well in the Champions League, and that's why they finished 12th. Because they basically just gave up on the league. They only cared about the Champions League. They don't have that problem anymore. Bournemouth are in the Europa. Yeah, they're in the Europa. And they seem to have sold more than they've got in. I think they'll probably start well. I think Areola's foundations. And I think you're right. It isn't just about the manager. It's also like the director of football, the chairman. Everyone's very aligned. So in theory, you can be quite plug and play. Like Brighton have shown. That being said, Europe is going to catch up with them pretty hard, basically. So I think they'll run out of steam. But what's their start? I think they have a decent start.
Their start is pretty horrible because it's Man City. Okay. It's the first game. I mean, I think that it makes it a bit
awkward.
That
start is terrible, actually.
It's
Man
a really
City away,
harsh
Everton
start.
at home, Newcastle away, Brentford at home, Liverpool at home, Chelsea away. That's not ideal at all.
Not ideal, no. I mean, I think arguably you could say all their players should be on a watch list and just to wait and see. But I think the fact that Europe is not going to start until September, October time? They'll have a bit of time to get into the groove of it. But I agree with you. It will be a struggle for their first time in Europe to kind of put that forward. But they will make more signings. And if they make a couple of decent signings here and there, I think I'm I back them to make up for it latter part of the season, even if they don't make it through. The player I'd recommend would be Petrovic, the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
4.5 million, solid as you
Yeah.
like, 3.7% owned. But you need someone else to cover him for the first couple of game weeks. Is the short answer. You can't start him, and I think he rotates quite nicely with Kinski. So Kinski's first kind of like five. Brentford away, Newcastle at home, Forest away, Everton at home, Aston Villa at home. You could probably offset that with Petrovic on the bench, and then rotate it around that way. I don't think many people are owning Bournemouth defenders at the moment, given the price hikes they've seen. But Petrovic would be good. Evan Nilsson is an avoid always, wherever you go, even if you see him in the shops. He is such a terrible striker. He's really bad. We said there's lots of choice at 6 million. He should be bottom of that choice. And I just think that there's no way you can go for him. And then I've mentioned him a bit here, but Ryland should be on the watch list. He had a little spurt here and there, but second season syndrome in a positive way. He's 6.5 million, 3.4% owned. Like I said, starting for Brazil. He was the one that kind of not intercepted but blocked one of the Scottish defenders' pass outs, and then it fell to Vinicius, who then scored. So I think he could be at 6.5 million, a decent alternative to an Ismail Assar, and I think he's worthwhile looking at. But what do you think, Stephen? Will you be owning any Bournemouth players, or are you going to wait until that run kind of times up?
I'm with you. I think every player is on a watch list. They will go on a little run at some point. You want those players there, but I've got Cliver in my team just as I just wanted a weird player, and he's 6 million. He's there. He won't be in my team for much longer, to be honest with you. So wait and see with Bournemouth, but yeah, they'll be fine. Speaking of teams that play in red and surprisingly in Europe this season, let's move over to the other side of the northeast, which is Sunderland. How we've divided this, by the way, is I've done the north and London because nothing else matters to me, basically, or the northeast and London more specifically.
The two places you call home.
Exactly. And then, you can have the Midlands. Who cares? Right. Sunderland. I'm not going to like saying this either. I fear for Sunderland. They, in every metric, outperformed last season by a long, long way. The last time we saw that was under Nuno and Nottingham Forest, and look how that went. I think they're going to be down there. You've got to, and worse than that, the bookies agree with me. I looked at the bet I wanted to do actually was the Brie to be the first sacking of the season. None of the bookies are doing odds on the sack race, by the way. This is a national disgrace. Guys, if you're listening, sort it out and put Reggie Labrie at 100 to 1, please. That would be nice. But yeah, they should not have ended where they did, basically. And it's a typical thing, a bit like Forest. It's amazing how professional football is and how data this and all that. Sometimes it just comes down to like vibes. No one really paid attention to Sunderland. They're sort of just like, whatever. Like that will not have happened now. They will have gone through every single game and they will be absolutely analysed into the teeth, and that's really going to hurt them, basically. Their signings are all free transfers. One's an 18-year-old lad from Ireland. One's a guy called Berry, so he'll be all right. But then the other one is Munier, who I thought had retired. So, like...
For context, listeners, Stephen's last name is Berry, if you hadn't caught that
yes.
joke right there.
Yes, I do start it with every podcast with my full name. Anyway. So that doesn't sound great. 3 free transfers. Well, they really went shopping last season, didn't they? 3 free transfers. The good thing is that they've kept most of the team. They lost Mayenda, but he was more of a rotation option. Granit Xhaka still being there is massive for them. Yeah. Ballard's going to start he got injured in the first game, didn't he? So, but hopefully that won't happen again. But no, they really, really outperformed. I would say on paper they've got a better team than Nottingham Forest, so they're not going to struggle as much. But their chickens are going to go home to roost. I don't like saying it. But and I'm also agreeing with the bookies, which means I'm agreeing with data and stats. I also don't like it. But second season syndrome, we've seen this script so many times, and football can be very annoyingly predictable at times. And Sunderland are on a train that we've seen many, many times over the years. I hope I'm wrong. I would love nothing more than Newcastle Sunderland to be the other way around, but That's what I think, unfortunately. Barry, again, please shoot me down.
Yeah, well, I think the interesting thing is that I wonder whether Sunderland made a lot of these transfers last season in the hope they'd stay up and then be able to kick on and not have to bother with extra signings. But
Yeah, maybe.
unfortunately, that's not really how the Premier League works. And you do need to keep strengthening. And look, we was timestamped this again. It's the 10th of August. There's plenty of time to go in the rest of the transfer market. But they have had more players go out than go in, and with Europe as well, that is a problem. So unless the Breeze seen something in the academy that's coming through that they can then start using in Europe, I can't really understand it. So I don't think Sunderland will be in trouble in terms of relegation. I think they'll finish 14th, 13th. A very mediocre season. Maybe they make the quarterfinals in Europe. But it's still going to be a bit of a fortress to go there. It's still going to be a difficult game to go and play there. Like it was it West Ham first game of the season?
They basically relegated West Ham
of course.
Game of the season, essentially.
Yeah, and then of course we've spoken about the fact they've got Ipswich away first game of the season, which is a great game for Ipswich. That's a real banana skin for Sunderland. So they could be getting an Uno reverse card this season. So
yeah, and that's why I think that's why Brobby, because I think their start is really really good, and so my void is actually Brobby. So the start is Ipswich, Fulham, Brentford. So it's a nice first three, but then they go to Arsenal and Man City. They could already be in trouble by then, and
yeah, true.
And Sunderland, it's like every team basically, and the better you are, sometimes the worse you are. Look at Nottingham Forest as well. When it's good, it's rocking, it's great. When it's bad, it's very very bad. So Sunderland could easily, they could easily turn. Too bad, I don't think they will as much. I think the Sunderland fans know they shouldn't be in Europe. They have no right to do what they did last season, and they're expecting 10 years of relegation battles, so they're probably not going to. But either way, it's nevertheless a risk. So I wouldn't be having Brobby in my team. I think we went through some of the 6 million players up front earlier. I think they're much better value. If I had to have a Sunderland player, probably would be Granit Xhaka. He's going to start every week. He's a real leader. Defcons, potential assist in him, set pieces. He's quite interesting.
Yeah.
One on the watch list is a guy that I had a bit last season. Did quite well for me actually when I had him in my team, was Trihume. The reason why I've not got him is because they've signed Munier, but he might start on the wing. He started on right wing a few times for them. They've lost Mayenda as well. So if he could be a 4.5 million defender, but who plays on the wing. And he's actually a really, really good football player, Trihume. I'm surprised that Sunderland haven't lost more players. I thought Roves, maybe Hume, Jack is a bit old, I suppose. Lafie, I thought a few of those would be on their bite, but they managed to keep hold of them, which is encouraging. But nevertheless, they haven't strengthened. They're in Europe. They outperformed last season. I worry. I don't think they get relegated, but I do worry for them. They're going to be down the bottom, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think so. So I guess it's Operation Survive for them, really?
Yeah.
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I would say so. I think, again, with the bottom three, the pro three, I should say, who they are, you could just, maybe it won't be too much of a worry for them. But I think Sunderland, they wanted to get rid of the debris anyway. So I think right now, the fact they've gone into Europe and they haven't bought anyone, I think the club is like, okay, what do we want to be? Basically, we seem to be sort of not on the right schedule and track. They need to work that out, and that's an issue for them this season as well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. Well, then, shall we move on from Sunderland to we'll say had a pretty good season last season to a team that didn't have the best season but managed to survive. And that is Forest. I think it's worth talking about them. New manager, same nutty owner. I've got them mid-table this season, just purely because that's where he loved to finish with Palace. 10th again, who cares, right? As they used to be their chant. And the one player I'd recommend from their team is Ego Jesus. There isn't really that much clarity around whether it's him or Wood, but he's had a pretty good preseason, 6 million, 5% owned. And we saw what Glasner did with Mateta, big lad up top. But again, that could be Wood, so it really could be a wait and see. I wouldn't be owning any Forest players to start. I know lots of people are owning Williams, but that's my view on Forest. What do you think? Are they going to be back to mid-table team, or are you thinking they're in trouble, or are we going to see another spectacular season? Very forgettable, I think, is probably the phrase that comes to mind.
Yeah, I'm thinking they'll build and become 14th or 13th, maybe. What they do have in Glasner is he's probably the best pragmatic manager in the league, i.e., he doesn't have a system. You give him and like Forest, obviously their transfer window has you could write a whole many articles on that which have been done. So he's very very good at going. Okay, this is my squad. I'll do whatever I need to do to make it work. So I think it was a bit harsh on Pereira, but do you know what? I think Nottingham Forest realise they have to be a bit more rigid. But how long will Glasner be there? We're talking about them saying 13th. Is that what Marinakis wants? I guess the transfer window has been pretty underwhelming, so maybe there is some realism from them. Even though they've obviously got a huge fee for Elliot Anderson, they haven't really done much. They've bought someone from two players from Scotland, Ireland, and then someone from Man City on a free I've never heard of. So yeah, 14th I'd say, pretty unforgettable. Gibbs White 8 million is a bit interesting because obviously he's their Penandes basically. Everything goes through him. So even though Nottingham Forest are going to finish 14th, they will win games, they will score some goals, and so highly likely he'll be involved. But 8 million, that's too much for Gibbs White, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean he's on my watch list for that reason. I think 8 million is quite a lot. He's 11.6% owned. How he'll fit into the system, whether he'll play as a winger, but. Then equally, Glasner had two fantastic 10s under his watch who did amazing and went on to play at big clubs afterwards in the form of Eze and Elise. So could he turn them into those types of players? And then we're saying, what a bargain at 8 million. You're thinking it's either him or Semenyo, him or maybe Rodgers. He's cheaper than Palmer. So there's lots of options within that. So I think he'd be on my watch list. If I was doing draft, I would get him in quite quickly because I don't think many people
makes
use
sense.
him. But my one to avoid is Williams, because there seems to be this narrative, and I don't know where it's come from, that he's suddenly going to become like the Munoz of Forest. Okay. Because he's an attacking winger, and because Glasner plays with attacking wingers. Let's be very clear. Munoz is a very, very good player and played very well in the World Cup. Williams didn't make the World Cup. Right, so there is a difference, right? He's 5 million, he's 12.3% owned. Munoz is a much better player, right? Yes. And if I wanted a wing back at Forest that could get forward, that could get attacking returns, it's Aina. Aina, because he had those injuries last season, is 4.5 million. I did actually in my first draft start with Aina. Because I thought 4.5 million, no one's going to own him. So I think this bandwagon ownership of Williams, I think he's a massive trap. So avoid him like the plague. I could be clipping it up and eating my words later. Look, I think the summary of my feelings on this is that Williams is a Teemu Munoz. End of story.
Oh, Barry, I have to say, I do think Aina is a good chat. Exactly the reason you said. Barry, I have nothing more than to say than I agree with you. I guess let's move on to teams who finish 14th and you forget about them. Let's move on to Fulham. As part of this podcast,
I was waiting for this. I couldn't wait for this. This is going to be my favourite part of the pod. Everyone, get ready. It's going to be fun.
I'm going to disappoint you a little bit, Barry, because honestly, I'm struggling to have an opinion on Fulham as I usually do. Okay, where do I think they're going to be? Down the bottom. You got to remember something. I think Marco Silva, just because he's a terrible human and one of the most unlikable people in the world, he actually is a very good manager. Benfica tend to get a lot of decisions right, and I think losing Silva is going to be a much bigger impact than people are giving him credit for. Sorry. You got to remember they started last season terribly. They started last season really, really badly. And if you just go through their team, Leno's good in goal, fine. Bassi, Tete, Castagna, Iwobi, Sander Berge, Kearney, Munoz. Honestly, in terms of their team, you have Leno who's good, Robertson who's good. Is that it? Oscar Bob's alright, I suppose. Am I missing anyone? I mean, in terms of Premier League, we'll go. Well, but it's not brilliant, is it? Let's be really, really frank. Their main hope this season is and Anderson as well as a centre back. Again, he's not bad, but fundamentally the team just isn't very, very good, and they stunk up the league a lot last season. And again, I don't think this is just my opinion. I think a lot of Fulham fans are very, very worried because they know what a good job that Silva was doing. They obviously got this guy in from Real Madrid. He's, to be fair, turned Fulham into a quasi Real Madrid feeder club. If you're gonna have a club to feed you, that's not bad. The forward Garcia, he actually looks pretty interesting, and Palacios, first of all, shares his name with the ex-Wigan players. That's always a good start in my book. But he actually looks like quite a good technical DM. The problem is that the manager, he didn't do very well at Real Madrid. But I think it was a bit of a car crash anyway. But apparently he's going to play quite attacking football. It screams a little bit Ange at Forest to me, personally. I think he's going to try trying to turn Tom Kearney into a inverted winger who can play an aggressive 4-3-3 system. I'm not seeing it. I don't think they're going to get relegated just purely because I think other teams are going to be worse than them, which we've covered. But yeah, you fear for Fulham basically, and I know, the only thing I will say against this is everyone said this about Brentford last season. We've just moved from one part of West London to the other, and look what happened there. But I just don't think Fulham were as well run. Like, we'll talk about Brentford in a second. If you look at their signings and signings historically, it's been interesting. Sander Berge, Iwobi. No. Like, this team has been asking for trouble for a while, I think. And Marcus Silva pavered over a lot of cracks. So that's what I think about Fulham. I managed to engineer an opinion on Fulham, so there we go.
Smashing. So do you think that maybe he could be the first manager to go, and therefore they could be fine on that basis alone? Where do you think they're sort of?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I'd be surprised if he's there for very long. I think Labrie will be to go first for other reasons, but yeah, he'll be in and around that the sack race basically. So in terms of players that I would avoid, most of them,
all of them.
I guess Anderson's probably the biggest rip-off at 5 million, but he's 0.1% owned, so not really insightful there.
He's injured, isn't he? I thought he was red flagged.
He's suspended. He got sent off, remember, against Bournemouth.
Oh yeah.
Where he did like one of the worst tackles I've ever seen like in a football game for a while. It was really, really bad. Robinson at 4.5 million. I mean, I'm surprised he's 4.5 million actually. He's a very, very good player.
That's cheap. Yeah, very, very good.
But World Cup. Yeah. And the watch list, the Garcia lad up front, he's 6 million. He could become something. He does actually look quite nice, but so he goes on the watch list. But I'm not going to be having a lot of Fulham players this season. Let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, I think Anthony Robinson at 4.5 million is actually very interesting. But Stephen, a bit pop quiz, and I just Googled it to check I was right. What is his nickname by the American football fans?
Oh, I don't know, and I don't think I want to know either. But you're going to tell me anyway.
It's Jedi because he likes Star Wars. That is fucking atrocious, to quote Martinez.
That is top-notch banter, as Alan Partridge would say.
Top-notch banter. Yeah, well, I think Robinson would probably be the player to own if you're going to own it.
Yeah, he's right? Leno as well in goal. Leno's a very reliable keeper.
Is he 5 million this year?
No, he's 4.5. He's 4.5
Oh, okay.
He's gonna be facing a lot more shots, which has both pros and cons for a goalkeeper. But yeah, he's decent. But again, what I would Klinsky and Petrovic are obviously much better options, right? For that price range.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, we've covered quite a lot there. We're up to about 40 minutes of recording, so we'll end this as part one. Part two will be coming out very shortly afterwards. So stick with us, and it'll be with you very shortly. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.